Thank you, ladies, for being here with us today and bringing some exciting props. We are talking about how to fight waste today. But Coralie, actually, I would like to start with the why. Why do you actually care about this topic? Is it just because you're engaged with Adidas and they're pushing that, or what's your vision on that?
Okay. Hello, everybody. So I feel very concerned with the plastic impact on the oceans because I was born in Martinique in French West Indies, and I learned to swim in the ocean. So that's my first step in that. And after I became an Olympic swimmer, but I kept swimming in the ocean, and I felt really close to this world. And now that I'm retired, I have my own organization and I fight against plastic waste. I raise awareness about the impact of plastic pollution on the oceans, and I talk about new solutions. So I feel very concerned, and even more with Adidas, because the brand is very involved in that fight also with new products, and that's why I'm Adidas-Parley ambassador, because they product swimsuits, shoes, shirts, or everything with plastic waste from the ocean.
Thank you. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, swimming in the ocean and wanting to preserve it. Alexis, Coralie was talking about Parley. So what is Parley? What is this all about?
Sure. So the Adidas X Palais collaboration is an eco-innovation collaboration. Adidas and Palais come together to basically explore ways to end plastic waste in the ocean. Palais is a network, and so it brings together different scientists and artists and personalities to be able to rally around this cause. And when Adidas and Palais first came together in 2015, we realized that actually we had a great opportunity together to be able to talk about something that is quite important, both within our industry. Most people don't think of the sports industry as a plastics industry, but actually with Adidas, it's over 85% of the materials that we use are plastics. And so this was something that was very core to our impact and core to Parley's mission in terms of combating plastic waste. So our collaboration is to explore solutions to not only remove that, but also to find ways that we can end plastic waste overall.
Nice, thank you. And you've also just launched a new initiative called Primeblue. Can you tell everybody here a bit more also about what that is about?
Sure. So actually, Primeblue is probably one of the best successes that we've had together coming out of this collaboration. So Primeblue is a performance material. It's 100% recycled. It's made of 50% Parley ocean plastic. So what does that mean? It's plastic that comes off of beaches or from coastal communities, from remote areas where basically you don't have recycling options. And this creates the demand to stimulate more recycling, to bring it in. And by us creating this performance material, we're actually scaling it very widely across our organization and also making it available to others. So we started in 2015 making one shoe. This is actually the shoe that we held up at the United Nations together and said, we're going to go do 1 million of these. We were actually able to create 1 million within a year. That's quite an accomplishment considering we didn't know how we were going to do it and we didn't have a supply chain. So within 1 year we were able to do 1 million, and then 5, and then the next year 11, and actually we're up to about we're probably at 15 to 20 this year. So we're really trying to scale the impact, because scaling that impact would scale the demand to try and pull that plastic waste away from the beaches.
Great, thanks, and congratulations on the good numbers. You've talked a lot about taking the plastic out of the ocean and scaling up the impact, but is it only about ocean plastics, or do you also have targets beyond that?
Yeah. it is very important to make sure we're stimulating recycling in places it isn't currently existing, but actually we need to just stop virgin plastics, new plastics from being created at all. We actually need to transition away from new plastics, move to a world where we're actually recycling those always, and even to a future part in the world where at some point plastic won't look anything like what we have today. So our first step is definitely, we call this moving through 3 loops. So the recycled loop is, let's stop creating virgin plastic. That's where we do things like demand ocean plastic and create supply chains for it. But we also actually, our biggest material, polyester, is plastic. And it doesn't matter actually if you make that material out of bottles off of beaches or if you make them from bottles out of the bin in Paris or in New York. And so actually we've committed that by 2024, we are only going to use recycled polyester. And we're already over half the way there. So that is pretty exciting. We won't just stop there because we're not just stopping the virgin. We're also moving into products that are made to be remade. So that means you're making things that at the end of their life can also be recycled into new products. And a little demo here, I always get to come up with shoes. These loop shoes are those. We launched them this year, and actually these Futurecraft loop shoes are made to be remade. At the end of their life, you can drop them in a shredder, grind them up, and turn them into a new shoe. And so that we've launched this year, and it'll go commercial soon, within a year. And then the last loop is where we're taking these exciting advanced technologies, advanced bio-based materials, and we're actually, at the end of a product's life, after it's been recycled many times, it could actually biodegrade, go back to the earth, and actually restore the earth as opposed to just being less bad. It's actually helpful to improve the world. So
thanks, Alexis. And I think one burning question for me, because we have these great initiatives, and as you said, it's actually also you can recycle a lot of other materials, and it's also up to the person in the end, the consumer, to also take the action. So this whole part about changing behavior is very important. So Coralie, I wonder, where do athletes like you come in? What's your role to kind of inspire certain behavior or help in this journey?
I think that athletes can really bring the message further with the Adidas-Parley products, and I think we could be examples to show that it's possible to act differently, it's possible to change behaviors, and I think with these new products, Adidas want to show that everyone can be. Everyone can play this role, everyone can impact the environment differently, everyone can be an actor for the changing. So that's a very strong message, and I think all the athletes and everybody here can bring this message further only by wearing this kind of products. We can all be involved in the change, and that's why it's called Change Now, so everybody can change now, I think.
Thanks, inspiring. Final quick question, and a challenging one. Alexis, why do you think brands like Adidas should take that on and also communicate that to the consumers? Isn't it all a sort of running the risk of greenwashing?
I think it's really important right now that actually companies get involved. We heard Paul Pullman talk about that yesterday. And yeah, I do think we do need to be careful to make sure that actually the pledges and the commitments and the targets that people make are actually real and that they're following up on them. We do all need to be held accountable to that. And we've published ours outside. We expect you to hold us accountable to them. I think what's important is, why should companies get involved in this? Especially, why should big companies, marketing companies, get involved? What Coralie was talking about is so true, is that we need this future that we're all trying to get towards to be very exciting, to be very desirable, to be very something we all want to aspire to. And actually, you know, when you see somebody who can do such amazing feats on the sporting field, then you aspire to be like them. companies like us can have a role to play in making, not only just changing the product that we have, which of course we'll do, but also making that an exciting change. That might lead to people wanting to do things differently, having behavior change, or even just changing the perception of what is sustainable. Sustainable isn't just responsible, it's also exciting and desirable. And if we do that, then maybe we can actually pull that change forward faster. The transformation would go faster. And so when we have wonderful ambassadors who actually can authentically speak to it, we at Adidas try and make sure that we leverage them. I would just hope that all companies do the same.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you. And I think we're all inspired to change already. And we'll continue with our next two speakers. But thank you so much. Big round of applause, please.